Welcome into the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. Figure that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. The energy that I typically have has been taken from me. The energy today, it's just not there. It's not there. I had hoped that roughly 12 hours after leaving the Xfinity Mobile Arena last night, that I would feel better about things, right? That I would be able to be a little bit more objective this morning. And I'd be able to look on the bright side of life and look more on the bright side of things in relation to where the Flyers are at and the possibility of making the playoffs. But I gotta be honest with you, I'm not feeling any better today. I'm really not. I am so unbelievably frustrated with what happened last night, the way that game went down, the guys who showed up and the guys who didn't show up. I gotta be honest with you. They are one game away. Tonight is it. Tonight is the season, right? I have been saying now for weeks, don't get caught scoreboard watching. Don't make every game a make or break. No, a game a few weeks ago against whomever isn't going to make or break the season. Tonight's game does. Tonight's game is all chips on the table. The Flyers either win this game against the Islanders tonight, continue their playoff push, have a legitimate chance of getting in, have a legitimate chance of even getting one of those Metropolitan Division spots in the playoffs. A loss effectively ends all hope. A loss to the Islanders, especially in regulation tonight, would put the death knell in the coffin of the Flyers' 2025-2026 season. A loss against the Islanders in regulation would make Easter Sunday's game irrelevant against Boston. It would make the final two home games of the year against Carolina and Montreal meaningless. It will not matter if you lose tonight in overtime. And I sure as hell hope that the Flyers decide to show up and show out on Long Island better than they have against three Eastern Conference opponents that they faced in the better part of the last week that they've effectively no-showed against. Let me take you back. About a week ago, they're coming off a 3-game sweep on the road. We've talked about it a million times. Against San Jose, Anaheim, and LA. Feeling great. They come home. They've got Columbus. They're chasing Columbus. The worst thing you could do will be fall flat on your face and lose in regulation. It's exactly what they did. 4-point game. Terrible loss. Awful. Horrific loss. Then this week. Was it this week? It was this week. I think it was this week. They take on the Capitals. The Capitals who they weren't chasing, but rather were being chased from behind. 3 points back, if memory serves, of the Flyers in the Eastern Conference standings. The one thing the Flyers could not do is go down to Washington, D.C., get bullied by a very tough Caps team, and lose in regulation in a 4-point game to a team that is chasing them. When they had the ability to effectively put their foot on the throat of Washington and end their playoff hopes. Well, what do? They went down to Washington, they lost. They got bullied by the Caps. So then you say, all right, we're going to extend a little bit of grace here, right? We're going to believe that the Flyers have learned their lesson, and when they take the ice against the Red Wings, they're going to pick up a win because they met the Red Wings not that long ago. Remember, 3 games late in the season seems kind of silly, but they took care of business against Detroit the first time. Sam Ersson, who'd played well this month, had like a 1.37 goals against this month. Like he was doing well, right? No. Ersson was in that. It didn't go well. It didn't. The back-breaking goal, the one that really did end everything last night, is a Sam Ersson goal. But unfortunately, it's not just Sam Ersson's play at the end that did it. It was a stupid, boneheaded, poorly executed play by Travis Sanheim. Couldn't clear the puck out of the zone. Effectively kind of whiffed on the puck, which led to the puck going into the corner, which then led to a shot on Sam Ersson, who was way too far out of his net. And I believe the puck hit Risto, deflected off of Risto, and went top shelf past Ersson. And we didn't even talk about what led up to it, but that game last night is the kind of game that haunts you. I know that there have been people looking at the standings and they've said, well, if Garnet Hathaway doesn't miss an empty net earlier this year, you probably have additional points. If the Flyers don't just totally no-show games against the Lightning, well, then maybe you're in a playoff spot. If they don't no-show game against the Rangers, maybe they are in a playoff spot. And the worst part is, like, you know that you need the teams that you're chasing to also lose games. And guess what? They've been losing. They have. So you could go, oh, well, the Flyers at least didn't lose any ground. And that's true. But guess what? They're not all going to lose out, guys. They're not. They're not. And we'll take a look at the standings here in a second. But, like, I got to tell you, I am about as frustrated as I could possibly be with this team. I don't know how they were not ready to play that game last night. There were moments that they did look like they were actively engaged. There were moments in that game where it felt like the tide was starting to turn. And I most, I guess, confidently look at I focus in on what happened late in this game when there's a goal that is scored. It's Porter Martone who puts the puck on net. It hits Travis Konechny. It goes in the back of the net. The refs almost immediately call it off. We're looking at it going, no. That puck is in the net. That puck is in the net before Konechny makes contact with the other player. There's no conceivable way where you could say that's not a goal. And yet, they initially ruled it was no goal. Went to review. They said it remains no goal. And then Rick Tocchet, to his credit, challenged it and said, hey, dumbass, it's definitely a goal. And guess what? It was a goal. Secaucus got it right. The Flyers get this goal overturned, right? Everything's great. Everybody's feeling wonderful. The building is rocking. It's as loud as I can remember that building being in seemingly forever, okay? And yet, 15 seconds or so after that goal gets overruled, the no-go goal call gets wiped off the board. The goal gets added to the Flyers' side. They cut the lead to 3-2 somewhere around the midway point of the third period. 15 seconds later, Sanheim, bad play, Ersson, inexcusable goal to allow, and guess what? You lose the game. That building went from an unbelievably loud, energetic, you could feel the whole building shaking kind of moment to all of the air being taken out of the balloon. It was that bad. It was a pathetic effort. It was a pathetic moment for this team. It was an inexcusable moment for this team. And if you've been looking back to the Hathaway empty net, if you've been looking back to those Ranger games, if you've been looking back to those Lightning games, and those have been the ones you hold on to, no, it's last night. It really is. Last night is a game that you needed to have. Now, I get it. If your argument is, well, Russ, the Red Wings may still be ahead of you, but don't forget, they are playing one more game, and in theory, the Flyers could tie it up. Listen, they could, right? Like the Flyers could come back. They could pick up a regulation win in the third and final matchup between the teams, and it's almost like no harm, no foul, except you're not just chasing the Red Wings. So I do want to take a look here at the standings because that is an important part of this. And we've been doing this pretty consistently now because, that's what we do here on the Russ Joy Show. We try to be a little bit level-headed every once in a while. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does. Here's where things are at right now. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna let's give it a little zoom. Want to give it a little zoom? Let's give it a little zoom. Whoops. All right. So here's where things are at right now. I don't know. Actually, I don't. That was too zoomed. It was too much zooming. Too much zoomage. Let's try that. All right, let's go there. I like that. That should be fine. Let me know if that's fine. If it's not fine, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. So the Caps, by virtue of them winning the other day against the Flyers, they're a point behind the Flyers. The Red Wings, by virtue of winning in regulation, because God forbid you can even pull out a loser point last night. The Red Wings and Flyers are both tied, but you'll notice the Red Wings have more wins overall, and they have 5 more regulation wins. So you're not winning that tiebreaker. Tiebreakers don't benefit the Flyers in pretty much any scenario. Now, on the whole, you look at this and you go, all right, the Flyers are one of 3 teams currently tied with 86 points through 74 games, and that's true. You could take a look at the Islanders, which is what I would be looking at. I don't really care as much about where the Blue Jackets are at in this wild card, but you could. The Blue Jackets, 88 points, 75 games played. You've got 1 game in hand over Columbus. and you're 2 points behind. But no, I look here. You have 2 games in hand against the Islanders. You play the Islanders tonight. You trail them by 3 points. If the Flyers can just handle their business, just get the job done tonight in regulation against the Islanders, you will still have 2 games in hand, and you'll be 1 point behind the Islanders for third in the Metropolitan Division. Tonight is a make-or-break game. It's not being hyperbolic. It's not throwing it out there just for fun. It's not so that video guy Amadeo can clip it up and add some urgency and all that. No. Tonight's game makes or breaks the season. Because tonight's game could fundamentally put you in position to get that third spot in the Metropolitan. The thing that I keep harping on. If you want to have a meaningful first-round series that goes the distance, a long series, even one that you could even try to conceivably win, it has to be as one of those Metropolitan Division teams, not the wild card. You are not getting the job done, okay? You are not getting the job done against one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference as a wild card. Ain't happening. You should be gunning for where the Islanders are at right now. Tonight's a huge game. There is no other way to put it. It is the biggest game of the season. I will argue that it is the biggest game in at least 5 years. I will argue that this game is clearly more important than any game they played last year. I would argue this game is clearly more important than any game they had during the fake playoff run a couple of years ago under Torts when he lost the locker room. It's certainly 100% more important than any game that year. I would even argue, if you want to go back to the COVID season, the COVID-shortened season where they were in first place or whatever before the world shut down, and then you had the round robin and the bubble tournament and all that, I'd argue that this is more important because it's not just about tonight's game in terms of like what that does to the standings. Winning tonight keeps those hopes alive and makes the next few games meaningful, which is important for the development of your young guys. It's important for your Denver Barkeys, hopefully for your Alex Bump, who I would hope is going to get back in the lineup somewhere. It's important for Porter Martone. I dare say it's important for Matvei Michkov if he shows up tonight, which we'll get to in a little bit. It's important for these guys. You don't want your final, tonight is, we're at 8, right? Is it 8 games? So where they're at right now, no, is that right? Is that right? No. See, this is wrong. I'm an idiot. Hold on. This is a totally wrong thing. I didn't refresh the screen. I thought something was weird. I thought something was wrong. I did this whole thing about where they're at, and it's not even correct. Fake news. I have to fake news myself, guys. This is my fault. Here we go. Updated standing. That was from yesterday. I think that was from when I did the show in the afternoon. I was going to say, they don't have 8 games left. They have 7 games left. All right, we're good. Here we go. Yeah, that's bad on me. It's the beauty of doing a live show. All right, so let's reset. Let's re-rack. Okay? Here's where things are at right now. There we go. That is correct. The Flyers have 86 points. Columbus has 88. Detroit has 88. Ottawa has 88. The Islanders have 89. So you still have a 3-point gap. The difference is you only have 1 game in hand on the Islanders, not 2. Okay. Holy smokes. That changes a lot of stuff, guys. That changes some. But again, this is why the Metropolitan Division thing is so much more important. Because Ottawa, Detroit, Columbus, all these teams, they have a tiebreaker. So not only do you now have to jump over Columbus, you also have to jump the Islanders to get that third spot. That hasn't changed. What has changed is you have an Atlantic Division team in the second wild card spot and not a Metropolitan Division team. And when you look at this, you have a game in hand on Columbus, fine. You're level on games played with Ottawa and Detroit, but you're 2 points behind them, and you lose every tiebreaker, so that doesn't help. Again, we're still looking at the Islanders. You have a game in hand, you'll have a game in hand after tonight. You can still pull within 1 point. Absolutely gigantic game. Gigantic. It doesn't really change the math all that much, but I think it's important to show you that, yours truly, the guy with the 5 head, the mustache, he was wrong. Yeah, the wrong thing pulled up. My apologies. 7 games left. You win tonight in regulation, this whole thing changes. Whole thing feels better. You feel significantly better about your chances. You don't get the job done tonight. Your team is DED dead. Now, I do want to take a look at one other thing tonight. I'm going to take a gander at the rest of the matchups tonight happening. You're one of 2 games. So here's what this means tonight. If the Flyers go out and win tonight in regulation, they will be at 88 points. You're not going to be in a playoff spot, right? There's no way for you to end the night in a playoff spot. You could have if you had won last night. And then if you had won tonight, you'd be feeling really good about the world. But they would at least be level on points with Detroit and Ottawa, 1 point behind the Islanders. Tonight's it, though. Tonight's it. Rick Tocchet, I have confidence, is going to underscore to these guys just how important tonight's game is. And if they want to make the playoffs, it all comes down to this. This is why I get so frustrated. Like when 3 weeks ago, right, and people started kind of getting on this, like at least on radio, we're like, oh, I don't know about the Flyers. What are the Flyers doing? I don't know what hockey is, but I'm going to start talking about the Flyers. And you're like, tonight's a must-win. It's a must-win game. Like 2 months ago. No, it's not, dumbass. Tonight's a really big game for the Flyers. No, it's not, dumbass. Just stop. Don't fake it. Just be real. Okay? Tonight is a must-win. Your math on this gets really, really difficult if you lose because it's a 4-point game. If the Islanders win, they're sitting on 91 points. You're still at 86. A 5-point gap with 6 games to play. Nay. And then you are really at that point gunning for the second wild card where, again, you would be 2 points behind 3 teams, including one from within your own division. Win tonight. That's it. Winning is all that matters tonight. We'll see if they can do it. I'm going to go out to the comments because there are a couple of other little Flyers points to hit. We got to talk about some people who came out of the woodwork for Jalen Hurts in the most recent day and a half or so since we did a show. And talk a little about this guy, I don't even know, Paul George? You hear about this Paul George guy? This Paul George guy, apparently pretty good basketball player. Oddly enough. All right, we'll get to him in a little bit. Let's see. Nick Abe says, hey, Russ, man. Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to say, hope you have a great day, man. Hey, thank you. I hope you have a good Friday. Huh? See that? We got one in. It's Good Friday. Nick Abe also asks me to speak negative on the Sixers. Whenever I speak negatively about the Sixers, they win. When I speak positively, they lose. It is true. It's Hunzi, says Russell. Good morning. Speak the worst nothings in my ear while I put chips on the shelves. What kind of chips do you put on the shelves? It's Hunzi. What kind of chips do you like putting on the shelves? You like some Lay's? You like the Ruffles? Wise? Martins? Hers? Let me know in the comments. What's your favorite chip brand? But it's Hunzi. We need to know which chips you're putting on. I don't count Pringles as chips. Somebody needs to let me know if Pringles count as chips. I say no. I don't think Pringles are actually a thing. I think Pringles are like an alien dystopian thing. I don't think they're actually food. By the way, I'm just going to keep shamelessly plugging Sheets until they sponsor the show. Got the chocolate peanut butter canned coffee today. Boy, oh boy, is that delicious, and you can find it at Sheets. Okay. Actually tastes like it tastes like chocolate peanut butter ice cream. KW1323 says Ayrson can't start another game. I seem to remember. I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want Anthony to feel bad this morning. Like if I told everybody that Anthony Sanfilippo was a total dolt and a prisoner of the moment for talking about having to ride the hot hand being Sam Ayrson, I don't want to make him feel bad this morning. So I'm not going to say it was him. But there was somebody at Xfinity Mobile Arena last night who was kind of putting out the idea. Maybe Sam Ayrson needs to start more games down the stretch. Yeah, no. Sam Ayrson is who we thought he is. And we let him off the hook. Now, if you want to crown him, then go ahead and crown his ass. But he is who we thought he was. Yeah. Joseph DeAngelis is here. Says 7 games left. Flyers have to go 6-1 if they want a real playoff chance. I said last night before the game, 6-1-1, 6-0-2. That is your path. This is the way. Because 6-0-2, right, would get you 14 additional points, which would get you to 100 points. You're not missing the playoffs with 100 points, right? 6-1-1 would get you 13 points. That would get you to 99. No, balloons. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way. Right, 99 points. You can't miss the playoffs with 99. 6-2-0 gets you to 12, which gets you to 98 points. I still think 98 points is in play with some combination of Ottawa, Detroit, Columbus, and or the Islanders, and you lose every tiebreaker. So, 98 isn't good enough. You lost a game in regulation that you couldn't lose in regulation last night. That's why the Red Wings game is so frustrating. Yeah, you could get them back. Regulation win in the final matchup of the year against them. Cool. And then it's like it never happened. But, Carolina was supposed to be the game that you kind of had scheduled as the regulation loss if you were going to have one. I don't see a conceivable path. If you're sitting out there right now going, 4-2-1. 4-2-1 gets you to 95 points. I don't think 95 points gets you in. I really don't. I really don't think that's going to work. No. 4-2-1. Nope. 4-1-2 gets you an additional 10 points. That gets you to 96. I don't even know if 96 gets you in. The Flyers really screwed themselves by losing last night. Let's see. Chris Reed says 23 regulation wins, 26 regulation losses. That is who the Flyers truly are. Well, there's truth to that, but then at the same time, they don't make the rules about overtime and about shootouts. They have won 37 games in total. They have lost 38 games in total. So as of right now, if you simplify things, they're 1 game under 500. Is that good enough to make the playoffs? Probably not. Is it deserving? Probably not. But you can't count it against them that they've figured out a way to win in the extra session or in shootout. Now, it won't apply in the playoffs, but here we are. K-Dub says, chalk up an L for any and every game Ersson starts the rest of the way. I mean, I don't know if you should go that far, but that last goal after the overturned goal, that was the backbreaker. And he has to have that. He has to be better than that. He has to be in better position than that. B. Condor says it's over. It might be. Nick Ape says, bro doesn't realize Sorokin is playing tonight and the Islanders are rested. Yeah, they were off last night. So you have a well-rested Islanders team with Sorokin in net. I like the Flyers' chances. I'm going to take the Flyers 17-1. MJ Bruno says, last night proved that perhaps acquiring a 1D should be prioritized above acquiring a 1C. I don't know if that's totally fair. It's just so frustrating. Sanheim has had so many moments this year where you're like, yo, he's really developing into being like a legit top-paired defenseman. Not a number 1, but a top-paired defenseman. And then he has that turnover, and it's such a critical time and a critical space on the ice, and you can't do it. You just can't do it. And yeah, Ersson's got to be better, but he can't make that turnover. He put them in a bad spot. MJ also says, that being said, Porter Martone is very much the real deal. He is. He's fantastic. Really, really good. Hunzi says, Foerster's Zegras Tippett line was unbelievable, so that's something good to take away. Porter is as advertised and a legit superstar. I think he set the rookie record last night. I believe that is what I saw floating around. That Porter Martone set a rookie record for most shot attempts in his second game or something. It was absolutely bananagrams. If you were ever worried that he was going to shy away from the big moment, that ain't the case. That ain't the case at all. He's been fantastic. And he's been willing to put the puck on net. It's about all you could ask from him. He's certainly, at least in the early stages here, lived up to the hype. He doesn't have a goal to show for it through 2 games, but he doesn't look out of place. He's throwing his body around. He's buzzing everywhere, which actually makes the whole Michkov of it all look significantly worse, but we'll talk about that shortly. 12th Child over on YouTube. Thanks for being here. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. Says Michkov has to have a bounce back year next year. Otherwise, the rebuild is kind of back. Michkov looked bad last night. I don't have a way to sell it. Like I don't have a way to spin it. I saw people tweeting like, get off of Matvei Michkov. He's playing on the third line. Why is he playing on the third line? He hasn't been an impact guy. He hasn't been. He's up to 12 straight games without a goal. 12. He's more of a playmaker, Russ. I seem to remember him fighting the back of the net plenty of times last year. Tocchet's playing him out of position, Russ. Well, do you remember? We all wanted Michkov on the right side. He's been playing on the right side. He's not lighting the lamp. 12 straight games without a goal. It's not good enough. It's just not. He's playing on third line, Russ. I don't care. I do not care. He's got to figure out a way to contribute. He's still playing on power play. Right? Like that's the whole thing. If Tocchet removed Michkov from the power play over that 12-game stretch, 12 games, no power play minutes, well, sure. He's getting power play time. He's got to figure out a way to score. He's got to figure out a way to be impactful. He does have these moments where, like, you can see the playmaking, you can see the vision, you can see how he processes the game. Like, he is probably one of the smartest hockey minds on the ice. His body's not keeping up. This is a critical offseason for him. But I have to tell you, I'm truly, truly disappointed in where he's at. I really thought that coming out of the Olympic break, he was going to look better than this. Be more impactful than this. Have some confidence to his game. You know, maybe he's one goal away from it clicking. Maybe he's gripping the stick too hard. Maybe he's overthinking it and he's not just allowing himself to play. I don't know what it is. But it is truly deflating to watch a guy that we know has the talent go out there and go 12 straight games without a goal. And I don't want people making excuses. It's not good enough. Porter Martone, sure, he hasn't had to go through the rigors of an NHL season. He hasn't had to play as many games as Michkov. He hasn't had to do the same travel as Michkov. I get it. But Martone is in there making an impact on every shift. Martone is out there. Is he the greatest skater we've ever seen? No. That dude is all around the ice. That guy is peppering goalies with a myriad of shots from different angles. He's willing to crash the net. He's willing to do what the team needs for it to be successful. And again, while the puck deflects off Konechny and goes in last night, it comes off the stick of Martone. Martone looks like a stud. Michkov shouldn't just look like another guy. And if you watched that game last night, and if you took the numbers off the sweaters, and you sat somebody down and said, make me a list, like we'll assign letters instead of numbers. Give me an alphabet. A being the best, Z being the worst player. Let me know where that guy ranks. He's probably somewhere around like Q. He's probably around Q. He wasn't impactful at all last night. How many big moments were there for Michkov? There weren't. It sucks. I want to see Michkov succeed. I want to see him be great because I know that guy's in there. We saw it last year. But at some point, you can't just blame the coach. And as fans, you can't just blame the coach. At some point, Michkov has to put it together. He's got to have the impact. He's still getting power play time. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. All right, I'll keep going to the comments here, then we got to switch gears off of the Flyers. But today's a day where people are feeling a little bit wounded, and so we're gonna be in the outlet for those people. Okay. MJ Bruno says Ersson and Sanheim notwithstanding, Cody Beach and the ref crew clearly cost the Flyers dearly with missed calls. Last night's officiating job was among the worst I've ever seen. I mean, I tend to not actively blame officials for games not going the way that you want them to and results not going the way you want them to, but it was an absolute abomination. I mean, there were missed opportunities in this game. There were missed calls in this game. One of the weirdest interactions I've ever seen between a ref and a player occurred in this game. And if you remember, there was also a moment in this one where Rick Tocchet got himself in trouble because he referred to one of the referees with a no-no word. We'll call it a no-no word, right? Rick Tocchet referred to one of the refs as a rooster lollipop, as we were calling it last night. A little rooster lollipop. I should just leave that guy up here the rest of the time. I mean, that was last night in a nutshell. It was honestly a horrific officiating job. That's Cody Beach right there. There he is. Horrible. You know, I'll actually take you back real quick because there's a moment in this game where Martone gets called for a cross-check that was definitely not a cross-check. Like, was not a cross-check at all. And then there's another play where Cody Beach decides that he's going to make the game about himself, and he goes and takes Martone out on a little excursion. And so we'll pull that up over here as well. I've got my workaround. I think I told you guys I've got a workaround now for clips, I think, on the show. I'm pretty sure. I think. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Here's something that happens in the game. So Martone gets into it here, right? And two guys jockeying for position. And he kind of wraps the dude up. And then at one point, it looks like maybe the Detroit player intentionally holds onto his stick right here. And Martone can't get his stick out. And the Red Wings player isn't lifting his left arm to allow him to get his stick back. And then So Martone wants a call. I think he wanted an interference call back here, right? But he goes over to the ref. And he's asking for the call. Now, he's a rookie. He's a teenager. He just got done in college. And usually a referee comes over and says, yo, dude, nah, not a penalty. Head to the bench. Do whatever. Cody Beach decides that I'm just trying to blow him a kiss there. We're not judging right now, but maybe a little bit. But Cody Beach, I think somebody transcribed it, that he told Martone to shut the fuck up. I'm pretty sure that that's what that one was turned into. But, I'll sing a little bit here, right? I don't think I can get away with playing Celine Dion, but this feels like Jack walking up to Rose on the end of Titanic. Every night in my dreams, I see you, I feel you. That's what this is. What exactly is Cody Beach trying to do here with Martone? It's weird. The whole thing is weird. He takes him from one side of the ice to the other. Martone is just asking for a call. Asking for an interference call. Might not be a call. It might not have been a penalty. Go up to the kid, say, yo, dude, go to the bench, not a penalty. Near, far, wherever you are, I believe that the heart will go on. That wasn't the only interaction between the two, but this is what happened. We'll stay forever this way. There you go. So there you go. I'm just saying, weird, very weird behavior. And on a positive note, it wasn't just Philadelphia who noticed it. And by the way, I know people have been down on Tocchet. There have been moments where I've been down on the Rick Tocchet of it all. Tocchet was pissed off all night. And eventually, NBC Sports Philly showed Tocchet got into it with Beach again. Now, again, earlier in the game, he may or may not have referred to the referee as a rooster lollipop. And then later in the game, he's giving the man hell because he just decided to skate his young rookie across the ice. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to have stick taps. We're going to give stick taps above the desk to Rick Tocchet for taking it to the officials last night. But like I said, Flyers fans weren't the only ones who thought it was weird, who thought that Beach's behavior was weird. I saw it all over Twitter last night. National media people. It was just odd. Whole thing was weird. So make of that what you will. Let's see. Air Raiders says this isn't the first time of the Flyers rookie. Last year in that game, Michkov got kicked out. He shoved a ref because the ref was blowing his whistle directly in Michkov's ear. I remember that. Michkov like went to swat at the whistle. It was weird. It was legitimately strange. Tutty says, when the games are important, the officiating is scrutinized. The same rookie stuff happened to Michkov, Bedard, Jack Hughes. This is so Philly, it's expected. Fans that don't watch hockey. I don't totally know what that means. Jim is here, though. Jim says very weird. Thank you, Jim. Oh, there you go. So Tutty didn't see the national stuff. No, there were people across the league. Now, some of them are people like me, right? Like some of them are people who comment on the sport. I'm not saying like Darren Drager. I didn't see if like Darren Drager or Elliot Friedman tweeted out last night that Cody Beach is a weird dude for the way that he interacts with Martone. But I saw people from other markets who don't typically like Philadelphia going, what the fuck? Like, what's this ref doing? That's odd. So, all right, we'll move off of this, I think. Just an odd night. Truly an odd night at Xfinity Mobile Arena. And we're supposed to just sit around and act like it's normal behavior. It's not normal behavior at all. Not normal. You're here, there's nothing to fear, and I know that the heart will go on. All right, I'm done. I hope you appreciate, by the way. All right. You don't appreciate having your ears blown out by me doing Celine Dion music here, but I hope that you pick up a little bit on the French-Canadian vowels in that. That's not easy to do. Okay? So, there you go. Tutty also says, you're fair. That's simple. Thank you. Joseph D'Angelo says, if I were Tocchet, I would have jumped over the bench if I saw a ref put a hand on one of my players. That was unacceptable, and the Flyers should push the league to get that ref reprimanded at least. Yeah. And Gooey, by the way, because I noted that there were people who were doing like the lip reading, right? That the ref screaming, you shut the fuck up in a player's face is insane. You know it's insane when all the players in earshot reacted to it. Power tripping a rookie. I doubt he does that to a vet. That's the bigger concern. Listen, I get it. Nobody wants to get shown up, right? And if you look in Major League Baseball right now, the ABS challenge system, umpires don't want to get shown up, right? They don't. They don't want to constantly get challenged for balls and strikes and then have the home crowd, cheer and toss babies in the air when the ump was wrong. But it is part of what you sign up for as an official. And listen, we can all look at Cody Beach last night and say, what a jackass. He's clearly done enough in this world and in this hockey world to become an NHL official. So I'm not going to say he's one of the worst refs in the history of the NHL, one of the worst refs on the planet. He's not. He's a ref in the NHL. Kudos to him. That was not a good game last night. And watching the way that he dealt with a rookie, that to me is I have to think somebody from the Greater Referees Association maybe picks up the phone today and calls Cody Beach, has a little conversation, because that is an unacceptable thing to do. And I think that Gooey's point there is correct. You're probably not seeing Cody Beach go and carry Radko Gudas, for example, across the ice. I don't think he's putting his hand on the small of Ekblad's back. I don't think he's going up to Connor McDavid and dancing a little salsa over to the bench. I don't see it. I could be wrong. I don't think it'd happen. All right. Anyway, it was a brutal game to lose. They lost it, but I think we kind of have to move off it. And I know I skipped a bunch of comments, and I'm sorry to everybody that I skipped it. Now, there was something that I did throw out there, though, a little bit ago, and I asked for people to throw in their favorite potato chips, because It's Hunzy said that he's, filling up the shelves with the potato chips. Now all of a sudden I'm very hungry for potato chips. So let me just see real quick. I saw that there were some responses coming in. It's Hunzy says, I'm a Lay's delivery driver. There you go, Hunzy. All right, some Lay's. What's your favorite type of Lay's? We need to know. Jim says Miss Vicky's jalapeno. I don't think I've had those before. Nick Abe says Cape Cod. Cape Cod chips are good. Okay. Do we have anybody else? Gimzak says Pringles or chips. Those sour cream hit great. I don't think they're chips. I really don't think they're chips. It bothers me. I don't think Pringles are chips. I don't think they count. I really don't think they do. Nick Abe has to rub this one in. Caulfield, 1 goal from 50. I mean, there have been very few times where I think that Flyers Twitter has all been in lockstep. Trading down, passing on Caulfield twice to take Cam York felt like a stupid decision in the moment, and now he's 1 goal away from 50. Yeah, that was bad. That was a bad call. It was a bad call. There's no way that you could spin it. Even if York somehow develops, he won't develop into a first pair guy, but like even if York levels off his play, no, not a good pick. Not the right pick. Not good at all. Let's see. I think that might be it for that right now. I thought I saw somebody else jumping in with something about, here we go. Gimzak says, also want to correct myself. Pringles are potato crisp, not a chip. I sit corrected, carry on. See, we're all taking a little bit of this today. I get it. I do. I get it. All right. Make or break game tonight for the Flyers against the Islanders. Will I do a post-game show here on the Russ Joy Show? I don't know. Anything could happen. They better freaking win. They better freaking win. Philly fan, what are we calling me out on? Russ saying Michkov getting power play time ignores the comment where he got the power play 3 of 5 with 2 points, gets taken off power play 1. Then last night, TK Zegras on ice, 155 out of 2. Yeah, Michkov got 5 seconds of power play time. Russ shill talk. That's a whole lot there, Philly fan. That's a lot there. Yeah. I will just respectfully, because, you know me, respectful guy. I noted that when talking about power play time, I wasn't just talking about last night. I said, if Tocchet had removed Michkov from the power play over the 12-game stretch without a goal, then it's a fair conversation and a fair point to point out. But I mean, I'm sure we could pull power play time from Matvei Michkov over the past 12 games where he's gone without a goal. Matvei Michkov has as many goals right now in the last 12 games as me and everybody in the comments section. That's not great. That's not good. It's not good. Not good at all. Okay, cool. All right, let's get to a couple of other things. One, we need to have a conversation about Paul George. And we have to talk about the Eagles. We'll get to the Eagles last. Paul George, though. I'm not saying that the 25-game suspension was the best thing to ever happen to the Sixers. But I'm not saying the 25-game suspension isn't the best thing to ever happen for the Sixers. Paul George has somehow taken a few sips out of the fountain of youth. So let me just take it back, okay? Paul George has played in 4 games since returning to the lineup. 4 games, okay? He's averaging 28 points. He's averaging 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 3 steals, and half a block per game over those 4 games. 32 minutes of action on average. He's shooting 42.6% from beyond the arc, 51.9% overall from the field. Paul George. By George, by God. Paul George looks like a real player. And by the way, he doesn't just look like a guy who's developing into that spot-up shooter that I continually talk about he kind of needs to be if Maxey is healthy and Embiid is healthy and VJ Edgecombe is part of the offense. We're watching Paul George cook dudes off the dribble. We are watching Paul George legitimately turn back the clock in a way I did not think was possible. Now, we're going to play out a little scenario here, okay? What if, again, we're going hyperbolic with the Sixers here for a second. Paul George noted that before the suspension, his body wasn't right. He was playing through something, but his body just wasn't right. Okay. He had 25 games worth of time to get away from everything else. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Maybe it was. Because on Wednesday night, this dude went out and dropped 39 points. 39 points. 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. 15 of 22 from the field, 6 of 12 from beyond the arc. I will also notice, right, and I hope you are as well, There is a solid number of three-pointers being attempted by Paul George, which is important because, again, I think ultimately for this team to hit that next level, he's going to need to be probably the most reliable catch-and-shoot three-point guy on the team. But when you watch this guy initiating the offensive points and roasting dudes, I mean absolutely roasting dudes off the dribble, that's when the hype actually feels real again. I'm going to show you a play here because, again, I think I figured out my workaround with the good old folks over at YouTube. I want to show you one of the plays that, to me, makes me go, ooh, okay, Paul George, I see you, young bull. Here we go. This is Paul George. First quarter of the game against Washington. I want you to take a goosey gander. So Paul George receives the ball, right? There he is on the wing. Stares down the defender. He's like, oh, you're screwed. You were totally screwed, buddy. You got nothing. So here we go, off the dribble. And then we get the hand comes out there, left hand comes out. Bang! He loses his man through the legs. And then look at this. A little step back, a little Harden-esque step back here. Creates the separation and bang. I mean, listen, again, I'm just a guy, right? But his ability, this isn't a catch and shoot three. This is him creating space off the dribble and just popping a three in. I find that intriguing. Now, again, I'm not here to tell you that everything is rainbows and smiles and that the Sixers are going to go on some incredible run and they're going to, absolutely crush it. But what I am going to tell you is I feel significantly better about your team, your town, your Philadelphia 76ers if this is the Paul George they're going to get. He has looked phenomenal in 4 games since coming back after suspension. I want to show you one other play that he had in this game. This is the one that when I saw it, I went, oh boy. Adam Silver is undoubtedly going to get this dude drug tested again. This was the play. Paul George on the right wing. All right, we watched him cook on the left wing. Step back 3. Look at this. Through the legs. Da-da-da-da-da. Little crossover. Da-da-da. Through the legs. Crossover. Through the legs. Crossover. I mean, that's a bunch. Now listen, I'm just an idiot, right? But we're going crossover through the legs, crossover through the legs, crossover. And then bang! Right in his face. From the free throw line, pulls up. Nothing but net. I mean, listen. Again. I am not here to tell you that the Sixers are back. But I'm telling you the Sixers are not back. Paul George is going to look like this. Hope springs eternal. Now watch, he'll score like 5 points in the next game. But for right now, you got to feel pretty good about Paul George. Okay? Chris Fried. Homer Russ has now turned his attention to the Sixers. Yes. Wizards should lose draft picks for the tanking they're doing, but Russ is going to love himself some Paul George. Yeah, you're damn right I am. Come on now. What the Wizards are doing, though, tanking-wise, the Wizards are an abomination of a franchise. I know that the NBA is talking about doing expansion and giving a team to Seattle. I'd move the Wizards. I don't even know why there would be a conversation about creating a new team. The Wizards are such a sham of an organization and such a sham of a team. I don't know. Now, keep in mind, next year maybe looks a little bit different. Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Can they stay healthy? Can they coexist? Feels like an old WWE question when you put the two guys that are going to be main event opponents at the next pay-per-view. Can they coexist? I don't know. But maybe next year will be better for the Wizards. But they're horrific. And they're horrific pretty much every year. Chris Fried says, Bam Adebayo scored 83 against the Wizards. Paul George sucks with only 39. MJ Bruno weighs in. Paul George borrowed Carlos Ruiz's amphetamines from 2012, and all of a sudden he looks better than ever. Coincidence? I think not. We are not going to accuse young Paul George of amphetamines. However, he looks very good right now. When are the Sixers back in action? The Flyers play tonight. The Sixers play tonight. When are they back? Sixers are back tonight at home against the Timberwolves. Oh, we get to watch a little bit of Ant-Man. Anthony Edwards brings the Timberwolves to town. Then tomorrow, Sixers host the Pistons. Monday's game is fun. If Embiid is in the lineup, Monday's game is a lot of fun. San Antonio. Sixers play at the Spurs on Monday night. That'll be a heck of a game to watch if Embiid is available. Embiid versus Wemby could be a lot of fun. Oh, look at this. See, I didn't see this. Aubrey says Ant is out. All right, well, then you should pick up a pretty easy win against the Timberwolves. They're 16 games over 500, but without the Ant, man, I don't know. All right, last thing I want to get to. Jalen Hurts. You guys know what's been going on. We talked about this on Wednesday. There was that hit piece that came out from ESPN, and we started seeing some people weighing in. A lot of people getting in their feelings about Jalen Hurts. And here's the first thing I want to do. I want to go out to Jahan Dotson, because Jahan Dotson spent 2 years with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think sometimes it's important that you hear from teammates. I think sometimes teammates give you a much better window into the player than anybody else. Coaches can too, but coaches very rarely go on the record like this. So first, let's go out to Jahan Dotson. This is him talking about Jalen Hurts, the leader, in a conversation he had with Jordan Schultz.
Version of Jalen, the best leadership you had seen from him?
I would say so. In my 2 years being here, he was way more vocal.
Yeah.
You know, we were challenging ourselves. The coaches were challenging us. And, you know, he was relaying those messages to us when we were tired in practice or tired in the fourth quarter. He was relaying those messages to us. And he was making sure that, you know, everything was a tight ship and run. You know, he truly is, I feel like, one of the best leaders I've ever been around. He commands the attention of the huddle. He commands the attention of the room.
And what about Coach Sirianni? What about Nick?
Well, let's pause there first on Hurts. So there's a guy who went to battle with Jalen Hurts. There's a guy who knows what this dude is like in the huddle, not only on game day, but in practice, leading up, preparation-wise. And he says he's one of the best leaders I've ever been around. I would tend to think that that's somebody you would want to play with. Now we get to Nick Sirianni.
He has so much swag when it comes to the head coach. Like,
right.
He has the ultimate faith in his guys. He doesn't care who we're stacked up against. It could be the 85 Bears.
85 Bears, Legion of Boom, Seahawks.
Yeah.
He
doesn't care.
No.
He doesn't care. If it's 4th and 5 with the game on the line, just know we're going for it and we're going to get it. Like, he has that much confidence in your team. Week 18, game doesn't matter. And AJ and Smitty are sitting out. And, you know, I'm the one now. He's like, you're going to go for 100 today and we're going to get a W. Like, he instills that confidence in you. And it's really cool to have, like, a coach like that.
So there you go. Like, there's even some thoughts in Nick Sirianni. Remember when we saw the player polling or whatever, there was that thought out there about do the players like Sirianni a lot more than the media would make you believe that they do? And clearly that is the case. Now I want to go out to one other guy, right? Because Schefter went on McAfee's show. And I found some of this also quite interesting. So Schefter was asked about the anonymous sources and the reporting on that ESPN story and about whether or not it was fair. And I thought that Adam Schefter's take on this was actually pretty interesting, because Schefter doesn't slam his coworkers in Fowler and McManus, but he does offer up some pretty salient points here, I think, about that story and the anonymous reporting.
I mean, look, the year ended in disappointment, so people are going to be digging in, and that's a very intense media market, so people want answers. And Jalen Hurts' body language was not always great last year, so I guess people are looking for more explanations. Look, again, I look at it like this. The guy's done a lot of things right. Like, he did win a Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, right? Where he could.
And by the way, he goes on from here, and the big thing that Schefter focuses on is he doesn't get a lot of credit for a guy who's had a different offensive coordinator every single year that he's been in the league, and doesn't think that that is a fair way to criticize or to critique him, which I thought was kind of interesting. You get Schefter constantly kind of backing Hurts. Schefter's also been out there a lot this year, right, because there's been the issue with the A.J. Brown trade rumors and such. But that was one guy who kind of came out of the woodwork. And I'm going to give you another shout about Robert Griffin III. Now, I don't typically go to Robert Griffin III as my source of information, right? No offense to Robert Griffin III, who might be a lovely guy. I have no clue. But I do think that for a guy who has played in this league, he actively went out of his way to do as much as he could to defend Jalen Hurts. And there was a tweet that he put out that I thought was pretty damn fair. Now, we'll go over to that right now. So this was Robert Griffin III a couple of days ago in the aftermath of the ESPN story, the ESPN report. Here is Robert Griffin III's opinion on Jalen. He says, Jalen Hurts is one of the most underappreciated winners in the NFL and one of the most disrespected Super Bowl MVPs ever. The Jalen Hurts hit pieces are getting out of hand and ridiculous. So you have Schefter, you have Robert Griffin III, and they're both calling this out. Now, the last couple of days have been interesting. I'm not totally sure what to make of any of it. And like I said to you guys the other day, I think that ultimately the biggest disappointment, by far, the biggest disappointment is that there seem to be so many people who are open and willing to talk smack on the franchise quarterback, but they will not do it on the record. They will only do it on the condition of anonymity. And I think that's gutless. If you want to have a conversation about whether or not it's fair to criticize the quarterback, that's one thing. But when all of it is back channel, anonymous sources, I actively question whether or not people have the best interests of the organization in mind, because you don't do that if you have the organization's best interest at heart. Now, I saw a question a little bit ago. Does this mean we're not doing Phillies today? I do have a little bit of Philly stuff because Jason Stark went on 97.5 The Fanatic, and I'll end with a little bit of positivity today because I'm positive. I'm positive that Bryce Harper ain't getting it done so far this season. I'm going to hit you with this first. So Jason Stark goes over on 97.5, and he says, quote, according to StatCast, there are 276 full-time players. Where would you guess Bryce Harper ranks in average exit velocity in that group? How about 235th? I get that it's early, but doesn't it feel like this is an accurate depiction of how out of sync he's been? Again, 276 full-time players in the majors. His exit velocity ranks 235th out of 276 players. Now again, I'm not here to tell you that it's all gloom and doom, but it is a little bit concerning. But I will end on good news. Because while Harper hasn't been particularly great to start the season, Stark did give a little bit of context. He said, I bet you never thought you would look at what seems like a good lineup and see the leadoff man hitting 167, the number 2 hitter is hitting 174, and the number 3 hitter is hitting 136. And the cleanup hitter is batting 208. Then I'm going to tell you this isn't the Phillies lineup. That's the Dodgers lineup. Just a reminder that it's not just the Phillies. Sometimes we need that context. Sometimes we need to get out of our own little Philadelphia-only bubble, and we do need to look abroad. We do need to look across the country. So the Dodgers are also going through some similar struggles. But you know what? I don't give a shit about the Dodgers. I care about the Phillies. All right? I would like to see young Bryce Harper look like he enjoys playing baseball again. I'd like to see Bryce Harper, crush the ball considerably more than he has so far this season. And then he did in the World Baseball Classic. Maybe I'm crazy. So far, has it been an elite start to the season? It has not. It has not been an elite start to the season. And X-Shadow is correct. The difference is the Dodgers have titles. The Phillies don't. Yeah, those multiple World Series championships in recent memory, those buy you a little bit of time. Those buy you a little bit of understanding and grace. The Phillies don't have that. All right, so today we talked about the Flyers, the Sixers, the Eagles, the Phillies. We did not talk about your team, your town, your Philadelphia Union. Really quickly, where are the Union at right now? They're not in hell. Oh, by the way, I saw the Sons of Ben put another thing out about it. I didn't bring this up. It doesn't really matter. So the Union are still winless on the season. Let's see. They are in action tomorrow. Wow. So the Phillies play, the Sixers play, and the Union play all on Saturday. They're taking on Charlotte as they look for their first win in MLS this season. Look, now we got to 5. We got to 5 teams. And we talked about the other day, the Wings are ceasing their operations at the end of the year. 6 teams. Philadelphia Soul, well, the Philadelphia Soul have been dead for a while. 7 teams. So have the Philadelphia Kicks. 8 teams. All right, I'm done. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. I will talk to each and every one of you on Monday. Small chance we'll do a show tonight after the Islanders game. I don't know for sure. If it's dead and done and dusted, if they lose in regulation, we'll probably do a very angry Friday night show. But my hunch is I'll talk to all of you on Monday. But just keep an eye out. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, ring the bell to get notified whenever an episode goes live, and you'll know if we do a show tonight or not, okay? You can also find the show in a podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. And you'll find short-form content. You'll find clips of this show on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit those videos with a like. Follow those accounts as well. It's helpful. Until Monday, this has been the Russ Joy Show, and I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart and tell us the name of the show. Have a very good Friday. Have a happy Easter if you celebrate over on Sunday. And if you're celebrating Passover, enjoy that as well. Talk to each and every one of you Monday here on the Russ Joy Show.